Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. We probably all played team sports. Like I played soccer, I played volleyball, I played handball, I played any kind of sport that would involve partners. A team. Then you know that when you play, you need a little bit of pass the ball here around, and you kind of know who's who, what's what. After about 5 minutes, after they touch the ball a few times, you know who's a good player and who's not a good player. Not only technically, but tactically as well. Also, if you played the game for some time, when you watch some other people play, you will immediately know when a person touches the ball, if that person is a good player or a bad player or not a good player. You can assess their value. Okay, this is what I'm trying to say. The same is in politics. If you kind of know something about, politics, or about have some how should I put it, culture, that means you know history, you know politics, you read a lot of things, you've been involved, you follow the news, you're not an idiot, you kind of know certain things, and you got to a certain age, so you had time to accumulate and experience, direct experience in different areas. Then when someone comes and tells you something about the game, you say, I know how good you are, because you kind of know, based on the topic at hand, how much that person knows and what information that guy brings on the table. And then you can say that's a bad player, or is a good player, or it's an average player. You can say that. So the same in politics. When you say Joe Biden, you can say it as an average. Now that poor guy is even worse because of his situation, so he's not a good player. Now you go say Kamala Harris, she's not a good player without any physical impairments or anything. She's not a good player. The problem is those guys are the main players in our team, and they're not good players. And then you have a staff of these guys. And again, you got Sullivan, not a good player. You got Blinken, not a good player. And you say, okay, these guys, you got Mark Milley, not a good player. You see Austin, not a good player. And then you start wondering, you see, what's her name, Jean-Pierre, whatever her name is, she's not a good player. So who is a good player in my team? And you say, well, these are below average, just mediocrities. Mediocre is worse than average, okay? Mediocre is barely make it. And these are in charge of you and the world, if you want to be how should I put it, honest with what's going on here, what we're told, to follow the script. They are in charge. Okay. And then you look at the different team, the opposite, the enemy team, the we fight or play against, and you think, well, we got that guy. They got that guy. Oh my, that guy. You think, and we play with these guys, and they play with those guys. So you know, if you look at Blinken and you listen to Blinken, that he is not even able to tie Lavrov's shoes, correct? If you disagree with that, then I don't know what to tell you. I just made my point before I got to this conclusion. So I think you should know that Sullivan, the same, is at whomever's shoes. Peskov is not a good player. Let's start with that. But Zakharova is a very good player. Jean-Pierre is not a good player. Jennifer Psaki, or whatever her Psaki, she was not a good player. Okay, so we having mediocrities versus people that really excel. Some of them in their jobs. You take Shoigu, not a good player. McMillan, not a good player. Austin, not a good player. So over there we kind of Anyway, so this is the point I'm trying to make, because I'm going to read something, an article coming from Mr. Sullivan, that he's going to make some claims that are accurate, but then the question is, when you get into a situation, you might ask, why is this guy trying to punch me in the face? And then you stop and say, well, because I'm so pretty, or because I'm too smart, or because I have a big thing, or something, or my girlfriend is hot, or something like that. And then you can say, well, maybe I'm arrogant, maybe I'm stupid, maybe I'm mouthy, maybe I'm, you know what I mean? But I see myself like this. From outside, you could be seen differently. Now, this guy, Sullivan, sees United States and himself as cool girlfriend, smart, balls, handsome, and, but the problem is it's not really like that. So here we have an article from ABC News from the 25th of September 2022, and this is the title: US 6 signs Russia is struggling. Yeah, that's accurate. Has warned of catastrophe if Putin uses nuclear weapons. Sullivan. Okay, so catastrophe right here, catastrophe. Well, I think that's been obvious since a long time ago. So the US is seeing evidence that Russia is struggling in its invasion of Ukraine and has warned Moscow that there would be catastrophic consequences if it were to use a nuclear weapon in its war against Kiev, the White House National Security Advisor said Sunday. This weasel that I listened to, he's the White House National Security Advisor. Okay, like let's say, I don't know, Kissinger. Henry Kissinger was at one point National Security Advisor. Okay, now put Kissinger versus this guy. How that guy behaved, what that guy knew, and how do you know he knew? Through his talk, through his statements. And this guy is a weasel. He's a weasel. You can look at his biography, and he might have certain accredited, this and that, but listen to him. Listen to him. So anyway, Jake Sullivan in an interview with ABC this week, anchor George Stephanopoulos, a weasel who was on Bill Clinton's campaign and so on. So that tells you everything about this beautiful guy. But again, listen to him. Listen to Stephanopoulos. Listen to Stephanopoulos talking to Trump. And Trump calls him out and he's like, and not only Trump. There's some videos on YouTube when that occurred. I watched it and he was like, yeah, because he's a weasel. But anyway, he makes opinion and other people are listening to Stephanopoulos. And you and I might have met these people who listen to Stephanopoulos, and when you talk to them, they just parrot to you certain things, and you're like, okay, why? And you go with a Socratic method, why? They can't go with why, because they got fed with only with the conclusion. They don't know how that conclusion was reached. Somehow, I don't know, let's say Tom Jones is bad. And you say, why? Because he's bad. Can't you see he's bad? Okay, why? You're bad too. This is with Trump. Trump is a racist. Okay, why? Well, he said something about the immigrant, those guys sending the worst and so on. Okay, and why would you say that? What do you mean, why? It's only perfect people coming, immigrating and crossing illegally the border of another country. Only good people do this. Why? Well, you're like Trump. You're a racist. So that's how the thing goes with Stephanopoulos as well. So I'm talking about this guy now, Sullivan, who says these are definitely not signs of strength or confidence. Quite the opposite. That's true. Good job. Good job. You good job. There are signs that Russia and Putin are struggling badly. Good. Yeah, that's true. Sullivan said while noting Putin autocratic, false, hold on the country made it hard to make defensive assessments from the outside. No, I don't think so. I think it's just a subjective, weasel-like assessment. But let's read further. It will be the Russian people ultimately who make a determination about how Russia proceeds and the extent to which that there is resistance and pushback to what Vladimir Putin has tried to do, calling up these hundreds of thousands of young men, Sullivan added. What do you want them to do? He's got 90% approval rating in Russia. How much does your president have? Below 40 or something? So Russian people already approve with this guy. They approve with the war. They support the war. What are you talking? Where is your evidence? His evidence is an ideological evidence. His evidence is a make-believe evidence. That's how he wants to be the reality, but the reality is not like that. He's supported. Autocratic dictator, however you want to look at it. He's over there. The public supports him, supports the war. And always there will be people who don't want to be drafted. Remember Muhammad Ali? Vietnam War, and remember Bill Clinton fled and others. Yes, there are people like that. That's understandable, and they do not have to support the war. Not all people support the war in Ukraine. In this case, not all the Russians support Putin. Yeah, if there would be 100%, that would be something very not clear, very not nice over there. Something is going on, right? But it's not. So what are you talking about? The people over there, there are people that don't want to go to war. That's true. But it doesn't mean that those people, that minority, as communist Trudeau says, fringe minority of truckers. Those fringe minority, they can't change the whole thing, can they? Well, if it's so, then the truckers in Ottawa should have changed the whole system of Canada, and it didn't happen. They got arrested and helped here and there, their banking accounts and all that, fired and then supervised, monitored by the authorities. So yeah, at the end of the day, the future of Russian politics is going to be dictated, not by Washington, not by anyone in Europe, by the people inside Russia. That's true, and they said they want Putin and they support that. So bye-bye, what are you talking about? And unfortunately, he doesn't take, obviously, territorial integrity of our homeland, our independence and freedom will be ensured. Yep, that's what the Russians say. The problem is, what are you going to do when these guys are using nuclear weapons, if they use? It says, Stephanopoulos asked, so that means taking the fight directly to Russia? Well, this guy probably says something about that. And this guy says, we've been careful in how we talk about this publicly, because from our perspective, we want to lay down the principle that there would be a catastrophic consequences, but not engage in a game of rhetoric tit for tat. Well, this is what's going to be. You will not have you will not have the ability to have it controlled, because when the Russians are going to use their nuclear weapons in Ukraine, what are you going to do? You're going to talk. You're not going to use your military, I guarantee you that, 99%. Because if you use that, the Russians will unleash more. And then you're going to have the whole planet being blown up. Not only Ukraine or Europe or partial here, partial that, no. So you should have thought about this when you supported these guys, okay, from 2014 on. So you are partly responsible for what's going over there. Take responsibility for that. But they will not take responsibility, because that's the way it goes. And the problem is people who listen to Stephanopoulos and with Sullivan will say, yes. Yeah, but whatever. I'm listening so I can learn, okay? And maybe learn a different perspective, learn things, because I don't know everything, obviously. But I can say these are weasels, and I'm scared. I'm scared that this national advisor, security advisor, Sullivan, is in that position, and he talks like that. And Stephanopoulos is the guy who feeds him questions that this guy has to answer. So he's basically said, if Russia uses that, because it's all Russia, they will just, and the Russians don't agree with Putin whatsoever. These are lies. Lies, plain lies, right there. And this is a weasel, doesn't even make the point in a smart way. That's why he needs to be a Zelensky or something. They have a different way, if you know what I mean. So anyway, the Russians will probably use nuclear weapons after they give the Ukrainians an ultimatum, which is United States. And those guys will say, no, we don't care about that. And probably they're going to do it. And everybody's going to say, well, what now? Because it's going to be pinpointed. Maybe it's going to be a warning shot somewhere in a field, just detonated. But I don't think they will do that. But take responsibility, and you can change things right now. They can change things. Take it as it is. What are you going to do? It's going that way. I think it's going very fast that way. I think in the 1st of October will be the day. Wait for that date. There's going to be a day when it's going to be an ultimatum, and it's going to be the maximum, the pinnacle, or all this thing. Because on the 30th, Putin will sign the decree annexing all those territories will become Russia. And you have Ukrainian army fighting in Russia. And the Russians can use whatever means, military means they want to get rid of those. And they will not have their soldiers be killed or exposed to that. They will say, we're going to throw 1 or 2 bombs and you get the fuck out. And the guy's going to say, no, we don't. And then they will do it. That's my assessment, the ultimatum. Unless the Americans say, okay, stop, guys. And now it's right there. But probably they're going to play the same way as these weasels are going to say, blaming. Unbelievable. And Russia has a consistency rating very high, at least in my eyes. When they said they want to punch you in the face, they punched you in the face. They don't bluff with that kind of things. And I don't have any reasons to think that they're bluffing right now. But we'll see. Maybe they are. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.